Have you ever paused for a moment in the middle of your busy day and asked yourself, why is this happening to me? Maybe you lost someone you loved deeply. Maybe a door you thought would stay open forever suddenly closed. Or maybe, just maybe, life gave you something so unexpected, good or bad, that it shook you to your core. Most of us live our lives believing that events are random, that good luck and bad luck are just accidents, that we are tossed around by fate like leaves in the wind. But what if I told you that nothing in life is a coincidence? What if every single experience, whether filled with joy or drenched in sorrow, was carefully woven into the fabric of your existence for a reason? This is one of the most profound teachings of Buddhism. Everything that happens, happens with purpose. And when we begin to see life through this lens, we stop feeling like victims of chaos and start to recognize ourselves as participants in a greater harmony. The Law of Impermanence. The very first truth that Buddhism gives us is simple, but it changes everything. Nothing lasts forever. Seasons shift, flowers bloom and wither, our bodies grow, change, and one day return to the earth. Even our happiest moments eventually pass. This reality is called Anicca in Buddhism, the Law of Impermanence. And it is not meant to depress us, but to liberate us. Because the moment we resist impermanence, suffering begins. We want good times to last forever. We want people we love to stay the same. We want our bodies to remain young, our successes to remain secure, our relationships to never change. But life does not stop. It flows, like a river that refuses to freeze. Learning from nature. Think of a river. It does not cling to the rocks it passes. It does not hold on to a single curve in its path. It keeps moving, shaping the land, always finding its way forward. Or consider a tree. When autumn comes, it lets its leaves fall gracefully. It does not cry for them. It does not resist. It knows that spring will bring new leaves. Nature accepts change with serenity. It does not fight reality. And that is the wisdom we can also learn, to let go of what has passed and to welcome what is yet to come. When we embrace impermanence, something beautiful happens. We enjoy the present more deeply because we know it won't last forever. We suffer less when things end because we understand endings are not destruction, but transformation. We face challenges with courage, knowing they too will pass. Every difficult moment, no matter how painful, is never the final destination. It is just another step on the journey. The freedom of letting go. When we stop clinging to the past, when we stop fearing the future, we begin to live lighter. Imagine carrying a heavy backpack everywhere you go, filled with things you refuse to let go of. Old memories, broken relationships, missed opportunities. How exhausting would that be? Now imagine setting that backpack down, feeling the relief in your shoulders, walking forward freely with nothing weighing you down. That is what acceptance of impermanence feels like. It is not about ignoring pain. It is about refusing to let pain chain you to a single moment. True peace is not found in stopping change, but in flowing with it. Karma, the law of cause and effect. And if impermanence teaches us that life is always moving, karma teaches us why it moves the way it does. Karma is not a punishment. It is not a divine reward. It is a natural law, like gravity. Every action, every thought, every word creates ripples in the universe. Imagine throwing a stone into a still lake. The ripples spread far beyond where the stone landed. In the same way, everything we do touches not only our own lives, but the lives of others. A word spoken in anger leaves scars. A thought filled with resentment poisons our spirit. But a small act of kindness, a moment of compassion, can change someone's entire day and even echo into their future. This is karma, the simple truth that nothing we do, think, or feel is ever lost. It all returns to us in one form or another. The seeds we plant. Buddhism often explains karma through the image of seeds. Plant an apple seed, and you will one day eat apples. Plant thorns, and you will one day feel their sting. Sometimes seeds sprout quickly. A harsh word may immediately create conflict. Other times, seeds take years to grow. A kind deed you did long ago may bring back blessings when you least expect it. The timing is uncertain, but the law is clear. We reap what we sow. This is not meant to make us fearful. It is meant to empower us, because it means that no matter what we've done in the past, we always have the chance to plant better seeds today. We are not trapped in destiny. We are gardeners of our own future. Taking responsibility. When something painful happens, our first instinct is often to blame. We blame people who hurt us. We blame the economy. We blame fate itself. But Buddhism invites us to look inward with honesty, not to blame ourselves with guilt, but to recognize that our actions, our thoughts, our patterns have contributed to where we stand today. This recognition is not a burden, it is a power, because if our past actions helped create this reality, then our present actions can create a new one. Karma does not mean resignation, it means responsibility. Every day, every choice, every thought is a new seed planted in the soil of our lives. A story of seeds. There is an old Buddhist story. A disciple once asked his master, "Why are some people born into wealth while others into poverty? Why do some live in peace while others struggle their whole lives?" The master replied, "If you plant apple seeds, you will not harvest oranges. If you plant thorns, you will not gather roses. Every life is a field of countless seeds, some planted long ago, others still fresh, and our future will be the harvest of what we are planting right now. So the question is not, why is this happening to me? The question is, what seeds am I planting today for tomorrow's harvest? Attachment and the roots of suffering. If impermanence shows us that everything changes, then attachment shows us why change hurts. Think for a moment about the things you cling to most tightly, a relationship you cannot imagine losing, a job you believe defines your worth, an image of yourself that you desperately want the world to see. We hold on to these things as if they are lifelines. We believe that without them, happiness is impossible. And so, when life takes them away, as life always does, we feel devastated. Buddhism teaches that suffering arises not from what happens, but from our attachment to what we cannot keep. The illusion of control. We think that if we cling hard enough, we can prevent change. We hold on to people, hoping they will never leave. We grip tightly to success, hoping it will never fade. We cling to our youth, our possessions, our beliefs, as though clinging could make them permanent. But attachment does not protect us. It enslaves us. Because when the inevitable change arrives, and it always does, our grasp turns into grief. The relationship ends, the job is lost, the body ages, and we are left broken because we placed our peace in things that were never truly ours to hold. Loving without clinging. To release attachment does not mean to stop loving. It does not mean to stop caring. It means learning to love in a different way, without chains, without demands, without fear. Imagine holding a butterfly in your hand. If you squeeze too tightly, you crush it. If you let it rest freely, it may stay with you on its own, or it may fly away. Either way, its beauty was never diminished by your grip. True love flows like this. It does not say, "Stay with me so I can be happy." It says, "I love you enough to let you be free." Freedom in letting go. When we release the need to possess, we discover a freedom beyond measure. We realize that our happiness is not chained to external circumstances. We can enjoy every moment without fearing its end. We can appreciate every person without trying to own them. We can live with lightness instead of anxiety. And here is the paradox. When we stop clinging, we actually deepen our joy, because we are no longer living in fear of loss. A story of a precious glass. A Buddhist master once held up a beautiful glass. "This glass," he said, "is already broken." The students looked confused. The glass was intact, shining in the sunlight. The master explained, "One day, this glass will fall and shatter, or it will wear away. Knowing this, I can enjoy it fully now. Every sparkle of light through its surface is precious, because I accept its impermanence." This story reminds us, the beauty of life lies not in its permanence, but in its fragility. When we accept that everything is already changing, we stop clinging and start truly living. The wisdom of acceptance. Life rarely goes as planned. We are taught from a young age to fight, to push, to conquer. But we are rarely taught how to accept. Acceptance is not resignation. It is not passivity. It is the courage to face reality as it is, without judgment. When we resist, we suffer. When we accept, we flow. The farmer and the horse. There is an old Zen story about a farmer. One day his horse ran away. His neighbors came and said, "What bad luck?" The farmer simply replied, "Who knows if it is good or bad?" A few days later, the horse returned, bringing several wild horses with it. The neighbors exclaimed, "What wonderful luck!" The farmer again said, "Who knows if it is good or bad?" Soon after, the farmer's son tried to tame one of the wild horses, but he fell and broke his leg. The neighbors came again, full of pity. "Such terrible luck," they said. The farmer only answered, "Who knows if it is good or bad?" Weeks later, the army came to the village to recruit young men for war. Seeing the farmer's son with a broken leg, they left him behind. What once seemed bad turned out to be good. What once seemed good could have been bad. Life is like this. We cannot always see the bigger picture. Practicing acceptance. Acceptance does not mean we do nothing. If something can be changed, we should act with wisdom. But if something is beyond our control, resisting it only multiplies our pain. The wisdom lies in knowing the difference. Through meditation and mindfulness, we learn to observe our thoughts without judgment, just as clouds pass across the sky. We learn that emotions rise and fall, that nothing stays, and with this awareness, we begin to accept life as it is, without clinging, without resistance. Accepting ourselves and others. One of the greatest challenges is accepting people as they are. We often want others to change, to love us more, to think like us, to behave the way we expect. But every person has their own path, their own lessons. When we release the need to control others, our relationships transform. They become more harmonious, more free. The same is true for ourselves. We are often our own harshest critics, punishing ourselves for every mistake. But self-compassion is essential. Acceptance of ourselves does not mean giving up growth. It means treating ourselves with kindness instead of endless judgment. Living lightly. When we learn to accept both joy and sorrow, both gain and loss, we find a peace that is unshakable. Life will always change. People will come and go. But when we live without clinging, we discover a freedom that no circumstance can take away. Acceptance is the art of living lightly. It is the wisdom of flowing with the river instead of trying to dam it. It is the secret of true inner peace. The hidden lessons. Within adversity. Every one of us has walked through dark valleys, times when pain felt unbearable, when life seemed unfair, when hope seemed far away. Maybe you've lost a loved one. Maybe you've been betrayed by someone you trusted. Maybe life has struck you with illness, loneliness, or failure. In those moments, it's easy to ask, why me? Why is this happening? But what if suffering was not here to destroy you, but to teach you? What if the very moments you wish had never happened are the ones shaping you into the person you were meant to become? Suffering as a teacher. Buddhism does not deny suffering. In fact, it begins with it. The first noble truth declares that suffering is part of life. But within this truth lies a gift. Suffering is not meaningless. Like fire, it can burn us, or it can forge us into something stronger. It depends on how we face it. When we run from pain, it chases us. When we resist it, it grows heavier. But when we face it with awareness, it begins to reveal its hidden lessons. The butterfly's struggle. There is a story about a man who found a butterfly struggling to emerge from its cocoon. The tiny hole seemed too small, and the butterfly was fighting desperately. Out of compassion, the man decided to help. He carefully cut open the cocoon so the butterfly could escape more easily. But when it emerged, its wings were weak. It could not fly. What the man did not understand was that the struggle itself was necessary. Pushing against the cocoon strengthens the wings, preparing the butterfly for flight. Without the struggle, the butterfly could never soar. Our struggles, too, strengthen us. They prepare us for the heights we are meant to reach. Growth through adversity. Think about your own life. How many times has a painful moment pushed you to grow? How many times has a setback opened the way to something greater? The heartbreak that taught you to love yourself first, the failure that humbled you and revealed a new path, the illness that forced you to slow down and appreciate life. Adversity has a way of stripping away illusions. It shows us what truly matters. It awakens strength we never knew we had. Without storms, trees would not grow deep roots. Without challenges, our souls would not grow depth. Finding meaning in pain. The question is not, how do I avoid suffering? Because suffering is inevitable. The question is, what can I learn from this suffering? When we shift our perspective, pain transforms into wisdom. Instead of asking, why me? We begin to ask, what is this moment teaching me? Loss teaches us gratitude. Betrayal teaches us discernment. Illness teaches us presence. Failure teaches us humility. Each wound carries a hidden message. Each scar is a reminder of the lessons we've survived. The wound is where the light enters. The poet Rumi once wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." This is not just poetry, it is spiritual truth. Our wounds break open the walls around our hearts. They make us vulnerable. And in that vulnerability, compassion can be born. When we suffer, we understand the suffering of others more deeply. When we fall, we learn how to help others rise. When we are broken, we learn how to love with tenderness. In this way, suffering does not just transform us, it connects us. A story of salt and water. A young man once went to a wise teacher and said, "My life is full of pain. I cannot bear it." The teacher gave him a handful of salt and told him to put it into a glass of water and drink. The young man did, and the water tasted bitter. Then the teacher took him to a lake. "Now put the same handful of salt into the lake." The young man obeyed. "Now drink from the lake," said the teacher. The water was fresh. The salt was still there, but its bitterness had disappeared into the vastness. The teacher explained, "Pain is like salt. The bitterness depends on the container into which you put it. When your heart is small, pain makes your life bitter. When your heart is vast, pain becomes nothing." The lesson is clear. When we expand our perspective, pain loses its power. expanding the heart. Adversity is an invitation to expand, to grow a heart as vast as a lake, to see beyond the narrow walls of me and embrace life in its wholeness. When we do, pain does not vanish, but it transforms. It becomes fuel for compassion. It becomes wisdom. It becomes strength. The same fire that burns can also illuminate. The same storm that shakes us can also cleanse us, choosing how we respond. We cannot always choose what happens to us, but we can always choose how we respond. Suffering can make us bitter, or it can make us better. It can harden our hearts, or it can open them. It can imprison us in fear, or it can set us free through understanding. This choice is the true power we carry within us, the path through suffering. Buddhism offers us not an escape from suffering, but a path through it. Through mindfulness, we learn to sit with pain without judgment. Through compassion, we learn to transform pain into connection. Through wisdom, we learn to see suffering as a teacher, not an enemy. Every hardship is an invitation to walk deeper into ourselves, to discover the strength hidden within, to uncover the wisdom waiting in the shadows. The power of mindfulness. If suffering is part of life, then mindfulness is the lamp that lights our way through the darkness. Mindfulness does not mean escaping reality. It is the opposite. It means facing reality with open eyes and an open heart. It is about being fully present, right here, right now, without running away into the past or the future. Most of us live like sleepwalkers. Our bodies are here, but our minds are somewhere else. We replay old conversations. We worry about tomorrow's problems. We scroll endlessly, distracted, half alive. And in this restless wandering, we miss the only moment that truly exists, the present one. What is mindfulness? Mindfulness is the art of bringing our full attention to this very moment. It is breathing with awareness. It is walking and actually feeling the ground beneath our feet. It is listening to someone, not with impatience, but with our whole heart. When we are mindful, the noise of the world quiets. We begin to see things as they truly are. We taste the sweetness of life that was always here, waiting. The monkey mind. The Buddha often spoke about the monkey mind, our restless, chattering thoughts that jump from branch to branch, never still. This monkey mind keeps us trapped in worry and regret. It keeps us clinging to what we cannot change and fearing what hasn't happened yet. But mindfulness tames the monkey, not by force, not by suppression, but by gentle attention. When we watch our thoughts without judgment, they lose their power. They come and go, like clouds drifting across a vast sky. Mindfulness in daily life. Mindfulness is not something we do only on a meditation cushion. It is something we can weave into every part of our lives. When eating, taste each bite. Notice the flavors, the textures, the miracle of nourishment. When walking, feel your body moving. Listen to the rhythm of your steps. When speaking, let your words be conscious, kind, and true. When listening, give your full presence without planning your reply. These small practices bring us back to the here and now, again and again. And in the present moment, we discover peace. The calm within the storm. Mindfulness does not make storms disappear, but it gives us shelter in the middle of them. Imagine a hurricane. The winds rage, the rain lashes down, chaos everywhere. But in the very center, there is a still, silent eye. Mindfulness is that eye of the storm. It is the place within us that remains untouched by fear, untouched by chaos. No matter what happens around us, we can return to that calm center again and again. A story of the two arrows. The Buddha once explained suffering through the parable of two arrows. When life strikes us with pain, it is like the first arrow. It hurts, and we cannot avoid it. But then we shoot ourselves with a second arrow. Fear, anger, resistance, blame. This arrow is optional, but it often wounds us even more than the first. Mindfulness allows us to stop shooting the second arrow. It allows us to feel pain without drowning in it. It gives us the clarity to respond with wisdom instead of reaction. Healing through awareness. Modern science confirms what ancient wisdom has always known. Mindfulness heals. Studies show that mindfulness reduces stress, lowers anxiety, eases depression, and even strengthens the immune system. But beyond science, the real miracle is how it changes the way we experience life. Instead of rushing through our days, we savor them. Instead of reacting blindly, we respond thoughtfully. Instead of drowning in noise, we discover silence. Mindfulness is not a technique. It is a way of being. A drop of water. Thich Nhat Hanh, a great Zen master, once said, "When you touch one moment deeply, you touch all of time." Think of a single drop of water falling into a pond. That one drop creates ripples that reach the edges. In the same way, one mindful breath creates ripples of peace throughout our entire being. One mindful step can change the direction of our whole day. Small moments of mindfulness accumulate, transforming our lives from the inside out. Starting the practice. Many people ask, how do I begin? The answer is simple. Start small. Take one mindful breath before you eat. Pause for one moment before you speak. Close your eyes for just 1 minute and feel your heart beating. These tiny acts are seeds. Over time, they grow into a habit, and the habit becomes a way of life. You don't need hours of meditation. You just need sincerity, presence, and patience. Mindfulness as a path to freedom. When we practice mindfulness, we are no longer enslaved by the past or chained to the future. We begin to see clearly that this moment, right here, right now, is enough. We find joy in simple things, the sound of the wind, the warmth of a smile, the rhythm of our own breath. And in that joy, we discover freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from regret, freedom to live fully, without missing a single heartbeat of this precious life. Compassion, the bridge between hearts. Mindfulness opens our eyes. Compassion opens our hearts. Together, they create the foundation of a peaceful life. To be mindful is to see clearly. To be compassionate is to respond with love. When we practice compassion, we do not just heal ourselves, we help to heal the world around us. What is compassion? Compassion is not pity. It is not looking down on others and feeling sorry for them. Compassion is the deep understanding of another's suffering, joined with a sincere wish to relieve it. It is the ability to look into someone's eyes and whisper, "I see your pain, and I am here with you." Compassion flows from the recognition that we are not separate. Your suffering is not separate from mine. Your joy is not separate from mine. We are bound together in the web of life. Compassion for others. Every person we meet is fighting battles we cannot see. The angry driver on the road may be rushing to the hospital. The rude cashier may be carrying heartbreak. The coworker who seems distant may be drowning in anxiety. When we remember this, we soften. Instead of reacting with judgment, we respond with patience. Instead of adding more anger to the world, we add understanding. Even the smallest acts of compassion ripple outward, like a stone thrown into still water. A smile to a stranger, a kind word to someone who feels unseen, a gentle hand on the shoulder of a friend in pain. These moments matter more than we realize. Compassion for ourselves. But here is something many people forget. Compassion must begin within. So many of us are kind to others, yet brutal to ourselves. We forgive everyone else, but we refuse to forgive our own mistakes. We care for the world, but we neglect our own hearts. Without self-compassion, we cannot truly love others, because the way we treat ourselves becomes the way we treat the world. To practice self-compassion is to say, I am human. I will stumble, I will fall, and that is okay. I am worthy of love, even in my imperfection. When we embrace ourselves with kindness, our wounds begin to heal, and healed people heal people. The lotus in the mud. There is a reason the lotus flower is sacred in Buddhism. It blooms in the muddiest waters, rising above the filth to open its petals in perfect beauty. Compassion is like that lotus. It does not deny the mud. It does not pretend suffering doesn't exist. It grows out of suffering. It transforms it. Just as the lotus cannot bloom without mud, our compassion cannot deepen without suffering. Our pain becomes the soil from which our empathy grows. A story of the hungry man. There is an old story of a monk walking through a village. He saw a hungry man begging for food. The monk had only one small bowl of rice, just enough for his own meal. Without hesitation, he gave the bowl to the man. When asked later why he did not keep something for himself, the monk replied, "My hunger will return tomorrow, but his hunger today is greater than mine. If I can ease his suffering now, then I have done what I must." Compassion is not about having abundance. It is about sharing what we have, no matter how little, when it can bring relief to another. The courage of compassion. Compassion is not weakness, it is strength. It takes courage to open our hearts in a world that often teaches us to close them. It takes bravery to respond with kindness when we've been hurt. But this courage transforms us. Anger divides. Compassion unites. Fear contracts. Compassion expands. Judgment separates. Compassion connects. Through compassion, we become bridges, not walls. Practicing compassion. Like mindfulness, compassion can be practiced in small, simple ways. Pause before reacting in anger. Ask yourself, what pain might this person be carrying? Offer words of encouragement, even when it feels small. Volunteer your time, share your resources, give your attention, and most importantly, speak gently to yourself. Forgive yourself as you would forgive a child learning to walk. Treat yourself as someone worthy of love, because you are. Compassion in action. Imagine a world where compassion guided every decision, where leaders acted with empathy, where neighbors cared for each other, where strangers treated one another as family. This is not a dream. It begins with us. Every compassionate act plants a seed, and when enough seeds are planted, the world itself begins to bloom. Compassion and interbeing. Thich Nhat Hanh often spoke of interbeing, the truth that nothing exists alone. A flower is made of sunlight, rain, soil, and countless conditions. And we, too, are made of countless connections. Our parents, our teachers, the food we eat, the air we breathe. When we hurt others, we hurt ourselves. When we help others, we heal ourselves. Compassion is the natural expression of understanding this truth. It is the realization that your well-being and mine are inseparable, the healing power of compassion. Compassion does more than heal hearts. It heals societies. It reduces violence. It builds trust. It creates communities where people feel seen and valued. On a personal level, Compassion relieves loneliness. Because when we extend compassion, we realize we are never truly alone. We are all part of one human family. A life of compassion. At the end of our days, what will matter most? Not how much we owned, not how much we achieved, but how much we loved. Compassion is the legacy that endures. It is the echo of our kindness in the lives of others. It is the footprint of love that remains after we are gone. Forgiveness, the key to inner freedom. There are few burdens heavier than resentment. We carry it like a stone in our hearts. Anger toward those who wronged us, bitterness over words spoken, pain over betrayals we cannot forget. We believe that by holding on, we are punishing those who hurt us. But in truth, we are punishing ourselves. Forgiveness is not about saying what happened was okay. It is not about forgetting. It is about releasing the chains that bind us to pain. It is about setting ourselves free. The prison of resentment. Think of resentment as a prison. Every time we replay the offense in our minds, we strengthen the bars. Every time we cling to anger, we lock ourselves in deeper. Meanwhile, the person who hurt us may go on with their life, untouched by our bitterness. We are the ones who suffer. We are the ones imprisoned. Forgiveness is the key that opens the door. What forgiveness is and what it is not. Forgiveness does not mean excusing harmful behavior. It does not mean reconciling with someone who continues to cause pain. It does not mean pretending nothing happened. Forgiveness means we stop letting the past control our present. It means choosing peace over poison. It means reclaiming our power from the grip of anger. The story of the two monks. There is a story of two monks walking together. They came to a river where a young woman waited, unable to cross. One monk hesitated, for their vows forbade touching women, but the other monk lifted her onto his back and carried her across. Hours later, the hesitant monk burst out, "How could you carry her? We are forbidden to touch women." The first monk replied calmly, "I put her down hours ago. Why are you still carrying her?" Forgiveness is putting down the burden we no longer need to carry. The healing of forgiveness. When we forgive, we release the poison from our own veins. Our minds grow lighter. Our hearts breathe again. Our bodies even heal as stress and tension dissolve. Science confirms what wisdom has always known. Forgiveness lowers blood pressure, reduces anxiety, improves sleep. But beyond the physical, forgiveness restores our spirit. It allows us to love again. It allows us to trust life again. It allows us to walk forward without chains. Forgiving ourselves. Often, the hardest person to forgive is ourselves. We carry guilt for past mistakes. We replay decisions we regret. We punish ourselves long after others have forgiven us. But self-forgiveness is essential, because until we forgive ourselves, we cannot truly grow. To forgive ourselves is to recognize, I did the best I could with the awareness I had then. I am not my mistakes. I am capable of change. Every saint has a past. Every sinner has a future. Forgiveness is the bridge between the two. A practice of forgiveness. How do we begin to forgive, especially when the wound feels deep? Start with compassion. See the humanity in the one who hurt you. They, too, are shaped by suffering. They, too, carry scars. Then, breathe. With each breath, imagine releasing a little of the anger, a little of the bitterness. Forgiveness is not always instant. It is a process, a journey. Some days the burden feels light, other days it returns. But each step toward release is a step toward freedom. A story of the snake. A man once caught a snake with his bare hands. It bit him, and he cried out in pain. An onlooker shouted, "Why didn't you let it go?" The man replied, "Because I was so focused on my pain, I forgot I had the power to release it." We are often like that man. We hold on to the snake of resentment, even as it keeps biting us. Forgiveness is the moment we finally open our hands and let it go. The courage to forgive. Make no mistake, forgiveness takes courage. It is easier to cling to anger. It is easier to close our hearts. But courage chooses love over hate. And in choosing forgiveness, we do not excuse the harm. We simply refuse to let it define us. Forgiveness is the ultimate act of strength. It says, "You may have hurt me, but you do not control me. I choose peace." Living a life of forgiveness. Imagine a life where grudges no longer weigh you down, where every offense becomes fuel for wisdom instead of bitterness, where every scar is a reminder of healing instead of pain. This life is possible. It begins with forgiveness. Forgiveness is the freedom of the heart. It is the gentle rain that washes away bitterness, leaving only growth behind. It is the quiet strength that allows us to rise above pain and walk forward in peace. Gratitude, seeing life as a gift. If forgiveness frees us from the chains of the past, gratitude opens our eyes to the blessings of the present. Gratitude is more than saying, "Thank you." It is a way of seeing. It is the ability to recognize that every moment, every breath, every sunrise is a gift. And when we learn to live with gratitude, even ordinary days become extraordinary. The power of perspective. Two people can live the same life, face the same challenges, walk the same roads, yet one is miserable and the other is content. The difference is not in their circumstances. It is in their perspective. One focuses on what is missing. The other focuses on what is present. One complains about the rain. The other sees it as nourishment for the earth. One mourns the past. The other gives thanks for the lessons it brought. Gratitude does not change what happens to us. It changes how we experience what happens. Gratitude in small things. We often wait for big miracles to feel grateful. Promotions, successes, victories. But true gratitude is found in the small, quiet moments. The warmth of sunlight on your face. The laughter of a child. The sound of rain against the window. The comfort of a friend's voice on a lonely day. When we begin to notice these moments, life reveals its beauty. Happiness stops being something we chase and starts being something we notice. A story of the blind man. There was once a blind man who sat begging on the street. His sign read, "I am blind, please help." Many people passed by, a few dropping coins, most ignoring him. One day, a stranger stopped and rewrote the sign. Now it read, "It's a beautiful day, and I can't see it." Suddenly, people stopped. They felt the weight of those words. They looked at the sky, the trees, the sun, and realized they had been blind too, not with their eyes, but with their hearts. Gratitude is like that. It awakens us to the beauty we were walking past all along. Gratitude in hardship. It is easy to be grateful when life is smooth, but the deepest gratitude often arises in times of hardship. When illness reminds us of the miracle of health, when loss teaches us the value of love, when failure shows us the gift of resilience. Gratitude does not deny suffering, it transforms it. It says, even in this pain, I can find something to learn, something to cherish, something to grow from. The practice of gratitude. Gratitude is like a muscle. The more we exercise it, the stronger it becomes. Here are simple ways to begin. Keep a gratitude journal. Each day, write down 3 things you are thankful for, no matter how small. Say thank you often, not just out of politeness, but with sincerity. Pause before meals. Take a breath and recognize the countless hands and conditions that brought this food to your table. Shift your focus. When you catch yourself complaining, pause and ask, what can I be grateful for in this moment? Over time, these small practices rewire the heart. They teach us to look for blessings instead of burdens, gratitude as medicine. Modern science confirms what ancient wisdom has long taught. Gratitude heals. It reduces stress and depression. It improves sleep and strengthens relationships. It even reshapes the brain, increasing our capacity for joy. But beyond science, gratitude makes life richer. It allows us to drink deeply from the well of existence, instead of rushing past it thirsty and unsatisfied. A story of the monk and the cup. A monk once held up a simple clay cup. "This cup," he said, "is already broken. One day it will shatter. Knowing this, I can appreciate it fully now. Every time I drink from it, every time I admire its shape, I am grateful. And when it breaks, I will still be grateful for having had it at all." Gratitude is not about denying loss. It is about cherishing what we have while we have it. Gratitude and contentment. Gratitude teaches us that contentment does not come from getting everything we want, but from wanting everything we already have. When we stop chasing happiness, we find it was with us all along, hidden in the simple blessings of daily life. Living a life of gratitude. Imagine waking up each day and saying, "Thank you. Thank you for this breath. Thank you for this chance. Thank you for this life, imperfect and fleeting as it may be." A life lived with gratitude is a life lived in abundance. Not abundance of possessions, but abundance of spirit. And when we live this way, we become lights to others, reminders of the beauty they too can see. Detachment, the art of living free. If gratitude teaches us to cherish life, detachment teaches us how to hold it lightly. Detachment does not mean indifference. It does not mean we stop caring. It means we stop clinging. It means we learn to love, to work, to live, without chains of fear or control. Detachment is freedom. The burden of clinging. Imagine holding a rope tightly in your hands. At first it feels secure, but as life pulls on the other end, the rope begins to burn your skin. The harder you hold, the more it hurts. This is what clinging does. We grasp at people, at possessions, at outcomes. We believe that if we let go, we will lose everything. But in truth, it is the clinging itself that causes our suffering. What detachment really means. Detachment is often misunderstood. People think it means withdrawal or coldness. But true detachment is the opposite. It is loving fully without trying to own. It is working passionately without being destroyed by failure. It is living deeply without fearing the end. Detachment does not close the heart. It opens it. Because when we stop clinging, we can finally experience life as it is, not as we demand it to be. A story of the glass already broken. A master once showed his students a delicate glass. "To me," he said, "this glass is already broken. Someday it will fall and shatter. Knowing this, I enjoy it fully now. Every sparkle of light, every sip of water is precious. When it breaks, I will not mourn, because I never expected it to last." This is detachment, not neglect, but appreciation without clinging. It is the ability to say, "I love this, I treasure this, and I accept that one day it will pass." Detachment and relationships. Detachment in love may sound impossible. How can we love without holding on? But true love is not possession, it is freedom. To love someone with detachment is to honor their path, even when it is not the same as ours. It is to wish for their happiness, even when it means letting them go. Attachment says, "Stay with me so I can be happy." Detachment says, "I love you enough to let you be free." One binds, the other liberates. Detachment from outcomes. We live in a culture obsessed with results, success, status, wealth. We are taught to tie our worth to outcomes, but detachment reminds us the outcome is not in our control, only our effort is. When we act with integrity and passion, we have already succeeded, regardless of what follows. A farmer does not control the rain, a sailor does not control the wind. We do our part, and we release the rest. Detachment is trust. Trust that life will unfold as it must. The peace of detachment. When we stop clinging, we find peace. We are no longer tormented by fear of loss. We are no longer enslaved by endless desire. We are no longer crushed by disappointment when things don't go our way. Detachment gives us room to breathe. It lightens our spirit. It allows us to walk through life with open hands instead of clenched fists. A story of the monk and the robe. A monk once received a beautiful new robe. He loved it dearly and wore it with pride. But soon, he began to fear it would tear or stain. He worried constantly. One day he realized the robe had not given him peace, it had stolen it. So he gave it away. And in letting go, he felt lighter than he had in years. Detachment is not about having less. It is about being owned by less. Practicing detachment. Detachment begins in small steps. Notice your clinging. Ask yourself, what am I afraid to lose? Loosen your grip. Try letting go of small things first. Old possessions, old grudges. Trust the flow. When life changes, remind yourself, this too is part of the journey. Over time, detachment becomes a way of living, a lightness of being that no loss can shatter. Detachment and joy. Paradoxically, detachment makes joy deeper, because when we stop clinging, we can finally savor the present. We no longer live in fear of endings. We no longer miss the beauty of now because we are obsessed with holding on. Detachment does not take joy away. It multiplies it. A life lived lightly. Detachment is not escape. It is engagement without chains. It is walking through life with open arms, open eyes, open heart, willing to love, willing to lose, willing to live. This is the art of living free. Inner silence, hearing the voice within. Our world is loud. News feeds, endless notifications, conversations layered upon conversations. The mind becomes like a crowded marketplace, buzzing, chaotic, restless. And yet, beneath all that noise, there is a stillness, a silence that has been with you since the beginning. A silence that is not empty, but full of wisdom, peace, and clarity. To touch that silence is to come home to yourself. The noise of the mind. We often believe our thoughts are who we are, but thoughts are like passing clouds. They come and go, sometimes dark and heavy, sometimes light and fleeting. When we cling to them, we are tossed about like leaves in the wind. When we learn to observe them, we discover the vast sky that holds them all, the silence behind the noise. This silence is not the absence of life. It is the presence of awareness, the gift of stillness. Imagine a lake on a windy day. The surface is restless, waves crashing against each other. Look into it, and you cannot see clearly. Now imagine the wind stops. The water becomes calm, and suddenly you can see your reflection. The mind is the same. In stillness, we see clearly. In silence, we recognize our true face. A story of the empty cup. A young student once came to a Zen master, eager to learn. He spoke endlessly about all the knowledge he had gathered. The master quietly poured tea into the student's cup. He poured until it overflowed. "Stop," cried the student. "The cup is full." The master smiled. "Exactly. You cannot learn if your mind is already full. Empty it, and only then can wisdom enter." Silence empties our cup. It makes space for wisdom. Silence as a practice. Silence is not something we wait for. It is something we cultivate. Sit quietly, even for a few minutes a day. Breathe slowly, letting your thoughts rise and fall without grasping them. Listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. In these simple acts, silence begins to grow. And the fear of silence. Many people avoid silence. It feels uncomfortable. Without noise, we are forced to face ourselves. We must sit with our wounds, our regrets, our fears. But silence is not our enemy, it is our teacher. In silence, we see the parts of ourselves we usually run from, and in seeing them, we begin to heal them. The very discomfort we resist is the doorway to transformation. Silence and wisdom. Buddhism teaches that wisdom arises when the mind is still. When we stop chasing, stop clinging, stop filling every space with noise, we begin to hear the quiet voice within. It is the voice of intuition, of truth, of clarity. It whispers, "This is the way." And when we listen, life begins to align. A story of the musician. A musician once asked a master how to find peace. The master asked, "How do you tune your instrument?" The musician replied, "Not too tight, not too loose." The master said, "Exactly. Peace is the same. Too much effort creates tension. Too little creates apathy. Balance comes in silence." Like the pause between notes, silence gives music its beauty. Like the pause between breaths, silence gives life its depth. The healing of silence. Silence heals in ways words cannot. It soothes the nervous system. It eases the racing mind. It reconnects us with the present moment. And more than that, it reconnects us with the sacred, the part of life that cannot be captured in language, only felt in the quiet of the soul. Living with inner silence. Inner silence does not mean living without sound. It means carrying a stillness within, no matter what happens around us. It means being calm in chaos, centered in storms, rooted in truth, even when the world shakes. When we live from this silence, we no longer seek validation in noise. We no longer fear emptiness. We rest in the fullness of being. The beauty of silence. At the end of the day, silence is not an absence. It is a presence. It is the presence of peace, of clarity, of wisdom waiting patiently for us to return. When we embrace silence, we discover that what we were searching for outside has always been within, the path of awakening, a journey to true peace. We have walked together through many truths: impermanence, the reality that everything changes; karma, the law of cause and effect; suffering, and its hidden lessons; mindfulness, the practice of presence; compassion, the bridge between hearts; forgiveness, the key to inner freedom; gratitude, the vision that makes life a gift; detachment, the art of living free; silence, the doorway to wisdom. Each of these teachings is like a stone on the path. Alone, they are powerful. Together, they form a road toward awakening. Awakening to reality. Awakening does not mean escaping life. It does not mean living in some distant paradise, free from pain. It means opening our eyes to reality as it is, and finding peace in that truth. It means seeing that we are not victims of chaos, but participants in a greater harmony. It means realizing that happiness is not out there, but within us, in how we see, how we live, how we love. Awakening is not an end. It is a way of walking, step by mindful step, through the world. A story of the moon. A Zen master once pointed to the moon in the sky. His student, eager to please, stared at the master's finger. The master said, "Don't confuse the finger with the moon." Teachings are like the finger. They point the way, but they are not the destination. The destination is direct experience, the moment we look up and see the moon for ourselves. In the same way, these teachings point us toward truth. But the awakening must be lived, not just studied. Awakening in daily life. We may imagine awakening as something grand, dramatic, cosmic, but often it is found in the smallest moments, in taking a mindful breath, in choosing forgiveness instead of anger, in saying thank you, even for life's struggles, in sitting quietly and touching the stillness within. Awakening is not reserved for monks in monasteries. It is available to all of us, here and now, in the midst of ordinary life. The ripple effect. When one person awakens, the world changes. Your peace becomes peace for your family. Your compassion becomes healing for your community. Your forgiveness becomes an example that softens the hearts of others. Like a candle that lights another without losing its own flame, awakening spreads. One spark becomes many. One life becomes a ripple that touches countless others. The courage to walk the path. This path is not always easy. It asks us to let go of illusions we cling to. It asks us to face our pain instead of running from it. It asks us to open our hearts when the world tells us to close them. But this courage is what transforms us. Awakening does not make life perfect. It makes us present. It does not erase challenges. It gives us the strength to meet them with peace. It does not remove suffering. It reveals the wisdom within it. A life of true peace. Imagine living a life where change no longer terrifies you, pain no longer imprisons you, love flows freely, without chains. Gratitude colors every day, silence anchors your soul. This is not a fantasy. It is the life available when we walk the path of awakening. Peace is not the absence of storms. It is the calm eye within them. Love is not possession. It is freedom shared. Happiness is not something to chase. It is something to notice, right here, right now. The final invitation. Dear friend, as we come to the end of this journey together, let me offer this. Do not take these words as mere ideas. Live them, breathe them, practice them. Let impermanence remind you to treasure this moment. Let karma inspire you to plant seeds of kindness. Let suffering teach you strength. Let mindfulness bring you home to now. Let compassion guide your actions. Let forgiveness lighten your heart. Let gratitude open your eyes. Let detachment free your spirit. Let silence reveal your truth. And let awakening be the way you walk through this precious, fleeting life. Closing blessing. May you find peace in every breath. May you find love in every connection. May you find wisdom in every challenge. And may your journey through this life be filled with light. Thank you for walking this path with me. If these words touched your heart, I invite you to stay, to walk further together. Subscribe, share, and let's continue building a community of peace, compassion, and awakening. Because when one heart awakens, the whole world shines brighter.